Hello and welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand Podcast, where my guests and I share tips and tricks to help and inspire you to build a great personal brand. My guest on today's show is nothing if not passionate about building a personal brand. And he and I see eye to eye on several things. So I'm very excited about this conversation. And he definitely gives amazing tips that can help you build your personal brand. So you definitely want to stick around. So let's get into it. I am your host, Claire Bahn, and on today's episode, I am very excited to be joined by Vladimir Voltsvadze. Vladimir is a world-renowned digital transformation, marketing, and social media influencer. He has more than 15 years of international experience with a proven track record, and he has also been named one of the world's top-rated speakers on technology. Vladimir, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about our conversation today.
Yeah, Claire, thanks for inviting me to your podcast, and I'm excited to share my practical insights with you today. I'm sure that your listeners will capitalize on my future-proof insights to build their personal brand.
Yeah. So you built your personal brand. What are some things what are 3 skills that someone needs to build a successful personal brand, would you say?
Well, first, you have to show your passion. Second, you have to connect with your audience. And you need to think in the long term, So passion, connecting with audiences, and thinking in the long term truly guarantee long-term success, or across social media channels. Because my example shows that I have spearheaded one of the fastest growing personal brands in the world on a shoestring budget, but I'm now a award judge. I'm ranked #1 in the world. Me on the global
one of the things I want you mentioned that I wanted to talk about is you talk about long term. Because I think a lot of times people think, oh, hey, you're going to build my personal brand. I'm going to get photos. I have my website. I'm going to make, put out a couple of tweets. And then all of a sudden I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to have this great personal brand. But I always tell people, no, it has a compounding effect. And tell me about that. Tell me about the long-term strategy with personal branding.
Yeah, it's clear that people give up, because they want fast success, fast results, but it's impossible. You need to show patience, and without showing patience, nothing great happens across social media channels. Because we need to bear in mind that Rome was not built in a day. So months in and months out, year in and year out, you will be building a great personal brand. And if people don't like a personal brand, they should call it reputation, because I believe that reputation is be all and end all nowadays. So you just need to strike. You just need to take action. Strike while the iron is hot. Make hay while the sun shines, and get into full swing. It used to cost a fortune to reach global audiences 30 years ago. Now everything is available at your fingertips. You need to connect with your audiences, and you need to create contextual content that is in their followers' best interest. You need to provide value to your audiences. Wherever you create content, you need to provide value, and you need to forget that you are in sales business. You need to keep in mind that you are a media company first before you are anything else.
Those are such key things. And thank you for reiterating that, because that's kind of one of the struggles that a lot of people, they just are like, oh, well, then then really my personal brand really doesn't make sense. You're like, it actually does, just like what you're saying, because that is the way that you are going to do it on a shoestring budget. Otherwise, you're going to, getting PR and hiring somebody to do your PR for you is so much money, but you can actually do it yourself. But I think one of the things that people don't really think about is I don't know how you are on social media, but I want to know, like, and trust somebody before I buy from them or before I start to work with them, right? We all have that in us. But a lot of times people don't actually think about that when they build their personal brand, because they're like, but it's me. You
need to provide value. You have to connect with your audiences. Claire, in the history of business, social media is only platform where consumers have a voice, because everyone was pushing their message on billboards, on radio, on TV. But social media is the only platform in the history of communication and marketing where consumers have a voice. So whether you build a personal brand or whether you build a huge company, you need to connect with your audiences and communicate. Communication dictates everything we do. everything that is going on in this world is based on communication. If we don't communicate with our tribe, if we don't show gratitude, if we don't show empathy, then why should we in business, right? Because success belongs to self-made influencers, self-made thought leaders in this decade. The main task of in this decade is understanding the psychology of the individual in this decade, because it's all about anthropology, it's consumer behavior and understanding consumers and audiences online. So what is my strength is that I know consumer behavior quite well, because I have built my presence across 10, 15 social media channels, So organically, I have built my followings, and I have more than 130,000 followers, So I'm very grateful that, I was tweeting, I was posting, I was pushing, that I was not satisfied with my performance, and I never rest on my laurels. But, now my results speak for themselves, because I have been passionate and I was connecting with the world.
Those are such key things to remember. And so one of the things that kind of comes up, I like to, we have things that we deal with on our, because obviously I own a personal branding agency. So we always have things that come up, and sometimes I like to ask questions based on what we're finding. And so one of the things is that I find sometimes clients, we're trying to tell them that while they may have 10 interests, you can't go out the door talking about 10 things. You need to narrow it down. And I think that you spoke to that earlier, is that you had to narrow it down. What is your feeling about that? Going super broad or doing niche?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah. You need to narrow your interest. And for example, I can speak on personal brand building strategies at conferences, because I have built my personal brand, and I have more than 55,000 followers across my, for example, on Twitter. I have 50 because I'm a true practitioner of my craft. I know where consumers' attention is, where you can storytell, and storytelling is everything these days, because if we don't storytell across 8-10 social media channels, we don't exist. It is a very competitive world nowadays. The question is how people stand out in a noisy digital marketplace, right? Because everyone needs to build their personal brands. It doesn't matter in which sector they work, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter, If they want to be discovered, if they want to be heard, and if they want to get noticed, of course, they need to fire on all cylinders and start publishing 100 pieces of content across 8-10 social media channels. And for example, if they don't like video marketing, of course, they can set up their podcast and start pushing audio content and creating audio content. So when there is a will, there is a way,
That brings up an important point, because you said everybody needs to do X, Y, and Z. What I find is that there's guilt associated, because they know that they need to. I should do my personal brand. I actually believe not everyone should build their personal brand, because they won't do a good job if they feel they're doing it out of guilt. Right? They're not going to help their ideal. They're going to phone it in, whatever, thing that you want to say. They're going to do it half-assed, if you know what that term means. But yeah, they're going to be half-assed with it, rather than going in and actually saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to go help people. And they're not going to be successful as you have been, because you were like, I'm going to help people. I am going to figure out what their needs are and what the questions they have. And I'm going to answer those questions. But the people that I find that are like, I should do this, they don't do that.
Claire, we need to be givers rather than takers, because takers don't build their personal brand. So we need to give.
That's good. Givers rather than takers. Perfect.
I'm a good Samaritan to the core. That's why I built my personal brand, and nobody forced me at business schools. And no, Vladimir, you have to build your personal brands after graduating a business school. If you check out the MBA programs, they don't teach personal branding. And when the students graduate and they don't tweet, they don't create blog posts, they don't, because Google is your CV nowadays. Whatever you tweet is going to bring you success tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It is an interesting thing, because I feel like a lot of times people feel like they should do it, but then they will not see success, because you were saying that you like to give, but I always say you have to have altruism. which is the same thing, but you have to give altruistically. You have to not want something in return, because people always know when there's an ulterior motive, you know, and that ulterior motive could be, I should do this. I really need leads. I need to make money for this, you know, next month or whatever.
I mean, across social, everything is transparent nowadays. Everything. Everyone sees authenticity across social media channels. And authenticity has been the driving force behind my Twitter growth, my Instagram growth, my LinkedIn growth. If you check out my recommendations on LinkedIn, you will see to what extent I have put in the work, because I love what I'm doing. You know, so passion is what sets you apart. If you don't like what you do, you shouldn't do it.
I agree, because you're not gonna have success with it. It is a hard thing, because I do think that people do struggle with finding the thing that makes them truly happy, right? Because you still need to pay your mortgage, your car payment, all these kind of things, and you have to, so it's kind of this struggle. But I think for everybody, it shouldn't feel like a chore to build your personal brand, because if you're doing it and you're actively helping people, it should feel actually really good if you're doing something you're very passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, you need to, of course, you know, Claire, you need to feel like you are like a fish in the water when you are on Twitter, when you are on Instagram. You need to feel natural. You know, you need to provide value, and of course, you know, you have to have this burning desire to connect with the world, because it is the easiest time just to be successful nowadays. If you decide to take action, I'm sure that you will move up in the world and go places.
That's amazing. So, I mean, would you say that your authenticity was the biggest driving force with your personal brand success?
Exactly. Because you know, people ask me that if I use like a Hootsuite, Buffer, or Meltwater, or other social media listening platforms, but I never use them because I was building my social media channels organically. You know, I was using like 30 hashtags. I was using 30 hashtags for each Instagram post. I was tweeting, I was blogging, I was using like Medium, WordPress, Tumblr, you know. So I think every little bit helps when it comes to building a personal brand, you know. So you need to take action. And of course, you know, if I had put all my eggs into one basket, and if I had focused only on LinkedIn, of course, I would not have won. I bear in mind that, you know, what works on Facebook doesn't work on Twitter. So you need to know the flavor of the room, you know. So
you're talking about, you know, an omni-channel, presence, which I completely agree with. But so someone's listening to this and they're going, you know, Vladimir, this is like insane. How can I build a business and be on all these social media channels? And so people get very, very scared. So can you talk about like the importance of, building the strategy?
You know, it's very important to have a personal brand. You know, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you build a startup or you run a huge company or you do a 9-to-5 role. It is very imperative to have a strong personal brand, you know. So if you are not tweeting, then what you are doing, that you are hanging out at bars and nightclubs after 5 p.m. You know, I was building my personal brand as a side hustle. I was tweeting from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. because I was curious. You know, we need to be curious. We need to discover curiosity within ourselves, you know, because if we are not curious, then we will not connect with the world. We will not tweet. Because we need to have this interest, what is happening in our world, because a lot changes, you know. So if we want to keep up with the latest trends, and if we want to remain competitive in our fields, of course, we need to discover. And because, you know, when I noticed that, you know, millionaire and billionaire entrepreneurs started following me on Twitter, then I was very inspired that, you know, I learned a great deal from my colleagues through Twitter, you know, because, you know, then, you know, I built my website. I started building my presence across other social media channels. I showed more curiosity, you know. Then, you know, I won my first award in 2015 when Analytica recognized me among top 100 B2B marketing influencers in London. In 2015, you know, then I won another award. Then I was going from strength to strength. So, you know, it had a ripple effect, you know, on my success, I have never given up. I demand a lot from myself that, I don't rest on my laurels.
I do believe that you do need a break, and you do need to deal with, your mental health and things like that. So I definitely fully believe that. I believe vacations, going on long hikes, things like that, like can really help you set.
But if I slow down, I will lose all my success. If I slow down, and
everyone's different. But
when I have, for example, I now work with more than 25 speakers bureaus throughout the world. I speak at global events. I have recently spoken at Global Marketing Summit alongside Philip Kotler. Nothing is given in this world. You have to go into the world and earn success through your deed of hard work.
I think just that
remarkable.
So someone might be listening to this and going like, well, I'm not going to be tweeting between 7 and 2 a.m. because I value sleep, me included. So it's either time or money. So basically you either give up your time or you spend money on hiring somebody to do that for you. So that is obviously where we come in. But a lot of times people don't really, they don't want to do either, right? They don't want to give up their hard-earned money, and they certainly don't want to give up sleep. But there is a give. You have to give something.
I turned my side hustle into a profitable business. I was tweeting. I was curious. I wanted to build something meaningful, Now the entire world knows me because I'm in magazines, I'm on podcasts, I speak at global events. My efforts paid off because I love what I'm doing and I'm a long-term thinker. I'm a brand builder, not a salesperson, because I don't send sales pitches to people that, come to my website and book me. I provide value. I give away my best advice for free at accelerators everywhere because everything builds my personal brand. I'm in the yes business, yes business, because I say yes to every opportunity. I volunteer because volunteering builds my personal brand, So I love helping people.
I do think you will get to a point where you're going to find more balance. I do hope for that for you. I'm just going to be honest. It sounds exhausting. Vladimir, I'm exhausted for you.
Yes. Yeah, great. I'm going to find some level of work-life balance because, of course, I'm now 35. I worked like hell, but I have always been inspired by Elon Musk and his work ethic. So people can understand. I don't expect that everyone will understand me, but I expect that only a few people will understand me because it is my hobby. I love what I'm doing. I work like hell. I go into overdrive. I put my shoulder to the wheel and I work.
But even if someone's not willing to do the same level that you are, they can certainly learn that you have to a lot from what you said, right? That you have to give value, that you have to work. If you aren't willing and don't have the money, then you have to put in extra time, and it's going to be after you build your personal brand as your side hustle, just like you said. So I really like that advice because you have to be doing something. You can't be upset at the world.
Yes, I was sleeping, for example, 5 hours a day instead of 8 hours because I was building a personal brand, and I sacrificed my personal life to build my personal brand, when other people were hanging out at nightclubs, I was putting in the work, So I now have a privilege that I'm a guest on your podcast because I have always been audience-centric, and audience-centricity has put me on the global map,
There are going to be people that are like, I'm going to put in the same exact level of work, but even if you don't, take the advice that Vladimir gave, and you have to know your strengths, niche down, help the people that are interested in that niche, and go out there and actually help people.
For me, success is not that I'm now ranked #1 in the world. Success for me is that someone will email me 3 years later because they watched me on YouTube or they attended my keynote. So they used and utilized my practical strategies to build their businesses. That is my success.
Interesting. I had a coaching session with somebody, and he actually had one of my blogs printed out, and he had notes. And he's like, this blog like changed my life. I had like a different perspective. He's like, I read this and I knew that I had to work with you. That's the power of really good content, that a lot of people that are afraid of it, that's the power of it, is that you do actually change someone's life. You do actually make them feel something. You make them appreciative. You make them, want to pick up the phone, recommend you to somebody else. And that can only be done if you put yourself out there. And the other thing I want to mention that you said that a lot of times people are afraid of giving their secret sauce away. You say, I will give all of my stuff away. And I do the same thing, because if you want to listen to all of my podcasts, all of the videos I've ever done, you could learn all the stuff. I guarantee my clients will not do that. They don't have the time, but that is that information is what shows them you are an expert.
For example, if you do a great job at a prestigious company, of course, you need to share your expertise outside your company. For example, you speak at events or tweet or share your best expertise, how you built your success, So you have to give back to society. You have to give back. Everyone needs to give back when they are in high places, Everyone needs to help other people. Everyone needs to lead by example, Claire, everyone needs to lead by example.
That. Well, Vladimir, I think really great conversation. I think you gave a lot of great advice, and I really appreciate it. So you have a lot going on. So where can people find out more about you?
People can check out my website at vladimirbotswadze.com. They can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Also follow me on Twitter at Vlado Botswadze, or follow me also on Instagram at Vladimir Botswadze. So I'm always willing to connect with new people. So it is always a win-win when I partner with brands. So let's connect each other, and let's see how we can
I will
work
definitely
together.
Put all of your links and everything in the show notes and in the description box. Vladimir, this has been such a great conversation. I really, really appreciate it. We definitely see eye to eye on building a personal brand, and thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you for inviting me, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening and watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.